In this video, I want to talk a little bit more about carving the size 70 circular needle. And you'll have to excuse my lap. I have to hold the other camera. I have just fit the aquarium tubing on the end of this, but let me back up. I had posted a video yesterday talking about these that got cut off, and I apologize for that. These are the pieces that are from my father's garden shovel. This is hickory. And what I ended up doing was I had some egg shapes in basswood, and I cut the egg in half and I put one on each of these. I glued them with wood glue this time instead of Elmer's, and I clamped them overnight. And so this is basically my roughed out double point needle line size 70. And what I have just done is use my flex cut knife, wearing a thumb guard, and very carefully, and I'm gonna, using this kind of an action, like peeling potatoes, kind of, but be very careful, wear a thumb guard. I have made that little stub which will accept the tubing. And you have to be careful when you do this, because if you take just a little bit, I knew that was going to happen. If you take a little bit too much off, or you get this, where this is going to flake off in some way, you could lose your tubing in the middle of knitting. So now what I'm going to do is take this shelf area around it and take some more wood off of here so that I end up with a longer piece of wood in the middle. And then I'll take a little bit of wood off this way so that it's more of a smooth ride for the stitch to go onto the cable. Now, my favorite knitting needles are actually Vintage Boy needles, because the cables are almost the same size as the needle. And personally, I think that gives you a more consistent stitch. But obviously, when you're working with a size 70, you can't even think about that. And as you can see on this one, I was going to show you on that one that fell on the floor. I used a pen to measure the outside diameter of the tubing before I started this. So I traced around the tubing like that on the wood before I started this, and I wanted it to actually be a little bit bigger than it is now. I wanted to almost have to force it on there, because ideally you shouldn't need glue. It should just stay on there. But I will use probably Elmer's to glue that on there after I get the actual points carved. So there's an update on my size 70 circular needle from an old garden shovel handle.